I have in my possession the world's smallest Game Boy system, and when I say it's small, I don't think I'm hitting you with any hyperbole. I defy you to find a Game Boy that is smaller than this device. Today we're going to be talking about the Anbernic RG Nano, a brand new system that is essentially nano. It's micro. It makes the Game Boy Micro look absolutely massive. But is it any good? That's what we're going to find out in today's video. All right, so here is the Anbernic RG Nano. We have ours in a magenta color, according to the description down here. Huge thank you to Keep Retro for sending one of these over. I'll have a link in the description box where you can pick one up should you be interested in this. And when I say that this is a small Game Boy, this is the tiniest Game Boy, I mean it. And I'll show you guys here just how small it is. So we have some basic operating instructions. Here is the product itself, and yeah, it's small. Like, I don't have very big hands, so you might think, oh, he's got big hands, he's dwarfing it. This is literally for a keychain. I have a Nintendo Switch Joy-Con controller right here. It is much smaller than the Joy-Con, so you could see that this is definitely something that, you know, is it more of a novelty? Will you actually be able to get some decent gameplay out of this? I guess we'll find out here. I will say, first impressions, it's metallic. It's a metal. It's not a plastic. So it definitely has like a good weight to it, which, I mean, if it's in your pocket, like, I think you'll notice it more, or on your keychain here. So the screen itself is a pretty decent size, all things considered, just how tiny this is. We have some trigger buttons up here. They are extremely clicky, which is a good thing. The D-pad feels okay. The face buttons feel a little bit soft. The Y button especially feels a little on the soft side. Well, I guess they all kind of feel that way. We have a start and a select here. You know, it's interesting. At the very least, we have a USB-C connection here. I'm assuming that's how we charge it up. And that's probably our speaker as well, because that little speaker area right there is just simply for show. Looking at the operating instructions here, power button, SD card or TF card slot, game key, start select, D-pad, USB. So, you know, basic stuff here. You obviously can put a bunch of stuff on this. You can put whatever you want on it. I like to look at these kind of just in a vanilla state, though. Like, I know there's different operating systems and those sorts of things, but for me, it's kind of like, if you're buying one of these handheld devices, you probably just kind of want it how it is. I guess I didn't turn it on. You kind of just want it how it is straight out of the box. Like, if you're gonna customize stuff and modify stuff, it's kind of like, well, you'd probably buy something a little bit beefier so that it could do more systems. All right, so it's asking us to set a time. I don't care. I guess it's kind of like a watch feature here. Now, here is the home screen of the device. We could see here we have applications, emulators, Game Gear, Game Boy, Game Boy Color, Game Boy Advance, Atari Lynx, Sega Master System, NES, Mega Drive, Sega Genesis, Neo Geo Pocket, PC Engine, Pokemon Mini, PlayStation 1. That's kind of interesting. Some sort of test, SNES, and Wonder Swan. So I don't even know where to start with this. I guess we'll start out with a Game Gear game. It looks like it's a pretty standard lineup of games here, a decent amount. You know, it's mostly alphabetized. It looks like some of the heavy hitters were some of the first games up there. Let's just jump into a game. You know what I want to play? Mortal Kombat 2. I am a fan of Mortal Kombat 2 on the Game Gear and on the Game Boy because I'm a weirdo. Is there no volume control button? I guess there isn't. That's kind of interesting. Let's see how this thing sounds. I can't imagine it'll sound all that great. I will say the screen itself, though, it sounds fine. You probably can't hear it. I'm sure the mic isn't picking it up. But it does sound like decent. But obviously, you'd want some way to control the audio. Let me look that up real quick. Okay, so yeah, you could change the volume by holding the SE and A or Y key. So the select button, I'm guessing that lowers it. Yeah, so there's a volume control that pops up there. Okay, so that's cool. You kind of got to read the instruction booklet. And obviously I'm not a big fan of instruction booklets. You can also change the aspect ratio on this too. I'm trying to press all these buttons like it's a freaking 6-button game or something like that. But for the Game Gear, like, this version was mad decent. And anyone who says otherwise is lying to themselves, because, you know, it's not bad at all. So, you know, it's running fine. I'm gonna guess pressing these 2 buttons brings us home. All right, I guess we got to look up how to bring it home. Power, call out menu. Maybe that's what we want. Oh, okay. So you can actually, by tapping the power button on the side here, you can actually control some of these things here. Different aspect ratios, volume control, exit game. Of course, there were save slots on here as well. So, you know, that's cool. Oh God, we are going deep into the emulator files here. Just take me home. Just take me home. So you're probably thinking, what does PlayStation 1 look like on here? I guess we're about to find out. We'll do some Tekken 3. You know, that's a decent resume game, I guess. It's a decent game to check out on these devices. It's obviously a 60 frames game. I can't imagine that it's gonna play anywhere decent, but if it does, like, that's actually pretty cool, you know. No, it is not playing PS1 very well. I mean, it's okay, but it's not full speed. It's janky. It's hiccuping. I wouldn't expect anyone to want to play PS1 games on this device to begin with. Like, yes, it is a very nice screen, but you know, you don't have the functionality of a DualShock controller or anything like that. Yeah, let's try something else here. Pretty good lineup of Game Boy games on here too. I will say that the library of games does appear to be pretty clean. You know, some of these devices can have a lot of duplicates. They're just essentially massive ROM dumps and those sorts of things. But this seems to be rather clean in terms of what all is on here. So that's a good thing. Here's a little Street Fighter 2 on the Game Boy. Dun, 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 dun. It's amazing that they tried this. Like, I don't know if I would say they succeeded on this, but they tried this game on the Game Boy, and it was fun for what it was. I would have loved to have seen like a proper Game Gear game. Like, there was the bootleg, which kind of wasn't bootleg, but the Master System version, I believe, was a Tech Toy game. Yeah, it's not really a game that I want to play for an extended amount of time, but I do want to check out something with, you know, let's check out Game Boy Advance, because there was some good Street Fighter stuff on there. Let's see if any of that is available on this device. There's a King of Fighters that we can check out. If not, once again, a pretty beefy lineup of games on here. There we go. So this will kind of give the D-pad a workout, but I mean, you know, your PS1 stuff, it's not going to play on this thing. Like, we pretty much established that. Like, it plays in the most generic sense of the word play. I will say the screen itself is very nice. They are touting a pretty solid battery life out of this as well, as you would expect. You know, things like your brightness settings. You know, the aspect ratio for Game Boy Advance stuff is kind of a bit wonky. Let's see what we can do about that. Can we, how will it look stretched? Is that better? No, God, no. So we had it cropped, scaled. Okay. You know what? I can live with this, even though we're losing some of the screen real estate and the general size. Like, this is definitely much better. You know, it's hard to say how I feel about this, because it's obviously extremely gimmicky. Like, the whole thing just screams gimmick to me. But gimmicks, you know, aren't necessarily a bad thing. There are some cool gimmicks out there. There are some fun gimmicks out there. Let's take a look at how it will look zoomed. I mean, that's not terrible either, but you know, I am losing a part of me on the screen. And like these buttons up top, like, come on, dude. Like, who's gonna reach and play a game like this? So very, very novelty, I feel. A very novelty sort of device. But, you know, there's a market for stuff like that. People like weird and quirky stuff. I assume that a lot of people are probably gonna watch this video just based on how weird and quirky this device is, because it is weird. Oh, look, they have the Master System version of Street Fighter 2 on here. We're just playing a bunch of Street Fighter on this. Like, that's such a good go-to game. Like I said, it was a tech toy game, but it's such a go-to game with these devices because you're going to check out the D-pad. You're going to check out the colors. I will say, once again, the screen on this is absolutely gorgeous. I definitely really like the screen on this. The colors look, I hope it's coming across good on the recording, but the colors look like super good in real life, like extremely crisp. But as far as, you know, functionality is concerned, as far as, you know, are you really going to play like a 40-hour RPG on this, or are you just going to play, you know, a Mario Brothers while you're, you know, riding a bus to work or on a subway or a train or something like that? To me, seems like kind of the goal of this. So let's go ahead and wrap up this video, and I'll give you guys my final thoughts on the Anbernic RG Nano. So what do I think about this little guy? The size of a Dreamcast VMU. I actually think it's smaller than a Dreamcast VMU. For me, it's very novelty. Like, I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time playing games on this, but if you're someone who travels a lot on like public transportation for work, like if you live in a city or something, I could see you having fun with this. And of course, it does have sort of that coffee table book aspect of what is that? Like, wow, that's so small, a conversation piece. But for me personally, I'm not going to spend much time with this thing. There's other devices that I would rather play that are a bit bigger, and I don't really have to strain, you know, my hands on it or anything. But it is an interesting device, and I'm sure that a lot of people will absolutely fall in love with this. And to you, I say kudos, good sir, or madame, kudos. So check out the link in the description box down below to Keep Retro's website. A huge thank you to Keep Retro for sending over one of these devices. The more you guys check out these videos, the more stuff I get sent. So if you want to see me talk about more of these products, be sure to check out these videos and share them around. And as always, guys, thank you guys for checking out this video. If this is your first time here, welcome. Be sure to hit that subscribe button, like, comment, and share. Hit the bell as well. And as always, I'll catch you guys in the next video. Later.